All right. And the last film in which I will talk about today is the action sci-fi thriller of the summer, Inception. So here is a clip for that. All right, this is Inception and is directed by Christopher Nolan, who is just coming off of a roller coaster ride of success with the Batman Dark Knight from 2 summers ago. This is his follow-up to that. This is an original idea, not based upon any book, graphic novel, or anything like that. And basically what it's about, this is going to be slightly hard to explain because it's a very multi-layered kind of plot. But basically what it is about is in the near future, there is this technology that allows people to be able to enter in other people's dreams. And within this realm, you are able to glean certain informations that might be more beneficial one way or another. They kind of talk about a little bit that it was technology was developed by the military, but they don't go into the technology itself very much at all. In fact, most of the movie, arguably all of the movie, actually takes place within dreams and dream realms and layers of dreams. And it's an ensemble cast, the lead character being played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and he is specifically trying to prove his innocence from the death of his wife by helping out a man named Saito, played by Ken Watanabe, do this one last kind of heist, brain heist, if you will, or dream heist, of a rich man played by Cillian Murphy. And once he is able to do this last job, Ken Watanabe's character will be able to prove Leonardo DiCaprio's innocence, or so he hopes. Kind of like an Ocean's 11 sort of plot in the middle here, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Cobb, pulls in all of these other people around him who are sort of experts at their field of dream thieving. And they kind of get together to pull this heist upon the dreams of this rich man character played by Cillian Murphy. I really did enjoy this movie, but it's a very, very, very dense plot. There's layers and layers and layers of things going on in this movie instantaneously. At one point, the movie actually splits into 3 separate realities. And every reality is going simultaneously, and the movie cuts intermittently between these 3 realities, showing how one reality affects the other, kind of like a deck of cards falling down. And it gets very, very complicated toward the middle of it, and a little hard to follow. Okay, what I have here, since I don't have a person to argue with, I found one online. A friend of mine on Facebook posted his initial response to the movie, which is mostly negative, and I kind of replied to him. So I'll read his response first, and then I'll read you my response to him. It's basically my general review of the film. Okay, he begins by talking about the CGI. The CGI was actually used to good effect, but the characterization was flat, and the plot, which was a fantastic idea, feels wasted on people I couldn't care about. Also, what a waste of an ensemble cast. Inception tried to balance action and suspense with drama, which I can understand, but it lost so much characterization potential. That I actually kind of agree with. It really needed to decide to stick to one genre, one mood, instead of overreaching. It clocked in at nearly 2.5 hours, and there's no excuse. For a movie that takes place almost entirely in dreams, there was a severe lack of dream imagery, which was disappointing. The whole perception, brain-in-a-box theory was used better in The Matrix, which I liked even less than Inception. That I don't agree with. It's going to get tons of comparisons with Shutter Island, not just because of Leo's involvement, but because of the genuine similarities between the films. That was sort of strange. There is a weird bilinear sort of relationship between these two films, but I don't think that was on purpose at all. Not at least the soundtrack. That boom, boom, boom from Shutter Island is echoed in Hans Zimmer's soundtrack for Inception. Shutter Island was the better of the two films, I'm afraid. At least it knew what kind of film it was, even if the trailers marketed it as a horror film, and never strayed. While Shutter Island was also predictable, it didn't give itself away in the trailer like Inception. Don't expect any epic twists here, just a cheap wink that's on par with a slasher villain jumping up at the credits. Yawn. Okay. Well, I'll read my response to what he just wrote here. Because his review is actually fairly concise and good, and he does describe some of the problems I did have with the movie. I just think he let them bother him more than they should have. I don't completely disagree with your review here, but I can't blame the director for trying too hard when most summer films don't try at all. This movie, while slightly overcomplicated and crowded with half-thought ideas, made me think, and made me want to see it again to see if on second viewing it will give me even more to think about. What I like about Christopher Nolan as a filmmaker is that you get your $10 worth. Even if at the end it wasn't your thing, as far as similarities between Shutter Island, I think that it was just incidental, and I don't blame anyone for that. As far as the similarities with The Matrix, well, like it or not, The Matrix was a game changer in the same way Star Wars was in the 70s, and these techno-philosophy thrillers have been made ever since. In all, I found it interesting, if not a bit frustrating and claustrophobic at times, but certainly the most thoughtful movie of the summer. And that is definitely how I feel about it. There's some places where I wish that the movie had went a little bit more for the emotional rather than the technical. And there are some places where I felt like the characters could have been fleshed out a little bit more, seeing as how there was such a big cast and really, really good actors being used with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Cillian Murphy and Ellen Page and all of these people. But in all, I found this kind of jumbling of genre and this kind of, as I said, a techno-philosophy kind of thriller. Basically, it's as if Nolan kind of tore pages right out of Sigmund Freud's interpretation of dreams and decided to write a sci-fi thriller about it. Very interesting stuff, and I think the more you see it, you're going to be able to get more from it. And I do like movies that do that. There's too many movies nowadays that, they leave you just kind of cold and blank, and by the end of the movie, you've seen all there is to see, and you pretty much never have to see it again. Movies kind of like The Grown-Ups that came out earlier this summer, which was basically just a group of comedic actors who got paid to hang out, and then they filmed it, and I guess we're supposed to think it's funny. At least Christopher Nolan wrote a movie. He has a vision here. And while I don't think it is for everyone, and I do think that he's asking a lot from his audience, being able to sort of piece all of this stuff together as they're watching the movie, I thought it was a success of sorts. Not my favorite movie of his, but I still gave it a solid B+. So I'd be interested to hear what anyone else has to think about the movies that we talked about today, or what I talked about today. And you can do that by visiting us on www.youtube.com/videoclerks. You can comment and rate and subscribe. That'll be the show for today, and hopefully next time I see you, there'll be 2 of us. Bye.